So the first thing we wanted to talk about is, you know, a lot of people that watch our videos, you know, are usually looking to buy a boat, or, you know, doing research on buying a boat, and that's a lot of fun. And a lot of people are then, you know the thing, you buy a boat and then you got to start buying boards. And a lot of people that buy wake surf boards, I would say, you know, the first thing they usually do is when they buy a boat at the dealer, they see what boards the dealer has. You know what I mean? And then they go and they grab a couple boards the dealer tells them. And then after some period of time, they start seeing other people with much better boards. And they start hearing about custom boards. And they start realizing that the boards you get at the dealer, they might be a little bit better than the ones you get on Amazon, wouldn't you say? Usually. Not much better.
A little bit.
Yeah, and but not much better. So, Mike, why don't you give us kind of an overview? What's the difference between these types of boards, and what makes a custom board so good?
Well, you know, we made the same mistake when we started wake surfing, right? I mean, we got a board when we got our boat, and then, you know, you read the forums or you listen to people talk, and they say, well, this is the board you got to have. So we went out and would buy that boat. And we just didn't feel like, you know, we were able to progress on the board. They were able to, and some boards we couldn't even ride. They couldn't stay in the wave, or they would purl under the water. They didn't last very long. The quality was just crap.
So what is, for the uninitiated, and some people may not know, what do you mean by purl?
Yeah, so the surfboard, on the nose of the surfboard, is called nose rocker, which it actually goes a little bit, it goes up a little bit on the nose, and that's so that when you load the front of the nose with that front foot, the water pushes against it and keeps the nose of the water.
Yep.
If it has no rocker there, you can push it down and just push it straight under the water.
Straight down.
And then of
you end
course
up
you follow that board straight into the water too.
Yeah,
sure.
Yep, that's true. So tell us about what is it that makes a custom board so much better than those boards that you buy?
Well, of course, you know, buying a wake surf board now, if you get a custom board, it was kind of born from ocean surfboards, right? And so once those shapers started to cross over and do actual wake surfboards, which are smaller and even lighter than an ocean board, you get that same technology, if you will, that same materials in that wake surfboard. The materials they use, the foam and the resin, it's a lot lighter. It's lighter, but yet it still maintains the strength. So you get a lot lighter, more responsive board, which leads to being able to do more tricks, having a lot more fun on the wave.
So why doesn't, like Amazon boards, you know, some of the boards you buy there, or some of the off-the-shelf like Liquid Force or Hyperlite, and Hyperlite makes some better boards, but why aren't they using those materials?
Well, it's mostly cost, right? It's cheaper to make a board in China with the sandwich composite technology. Yeah, those boards are very durable. You know, those things are going to last forever, but they're heavy, and they just don't have the contours that you're going to get on a hand finished custom board. That actually smells pretty good.
It is real good. It's a very good cigar. Yeah, and I mean, the main thing is so Mike, you know, before we talk about vibes or violent designs, tell me about how you started with Soulcraft, and what was your journey when you went from Soulcraft and now ended up with Violin Design?
Yeah, we got a chance to meet Jeff Wallers, who started Soulcraft. He basically started that out of his garage in Boise. He has a background of shaping ocean boards because he's from Southern California. Then he moved to Boise, and he met some people he met some wake surfers. Jimmy Sparling was one of those people he met, right? And so thought he'd maybe try to design a wake surf board. And so he brought that you know, that knowledge of the ocean shaping and designing into wake surf. So we got a chance to meet him. It was actually at a West Coast Open event, 2010, I believe. We got introduced to him. Just a great guy.
That's when Jeff was in the van.
That's when Jeff was in the van.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going. I'm going to add to that a little bit, but
he had one of his boards that he brought in the van, and so we got to introduce it. We got introduced to him, and he said, "Hey, would you mind trying one of these boards, one of my boards that I made?" And we're like, "Sure, yeah, we'd love to." It was actually Angie that was kind of looking for a surf style board. So we went out and tested it, and she rode it. She loved it. She rode it really well, so we bought it from him. We paid him right there and bought that board from him. That was his very first, I believe, his very first sale of a wake surf board. The board was called the Jetty, and it was named after his favorite surf spot in California.
Got it.
So, and that's kind of how we started. She rode the board. I actually even rode the board. So from there, I asked Jeff then to make me one, and I said, you know, for me, I need a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and I said, and Angie probably needs a little smaller one. So that's how we kind of got started with Jeff. He was able to actually make a board that fit me and that fit Angie, and I think that's what was so great about what he did is, you know, he can make a board that fits you.
Just you.
Right, just you.
And hence the name custom board.
Custom, yeah, custom for you.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I got to break in a little bit there too, because there's a little bit of a story with Jeff and that 2010 West Coast Wake Surf Open was something that Amy and I decided to take on doing this event, and we took it over from the Walkers. Gosh, I forgot their names for a second. Took it over from the Walkers. Yeah. Great people that were doing this event on a smaller, and we wanted to take it kind of to a bigger place, and we were looking for some sponsors, and honestly we just ended up paying for the whole thing ourselves because there was really hard to get sponsors. This is 2010. Nobody was really doing, wake surfing wasn't like it is now. And Jeff called us and he said, "Hey, I just, you know," and I think our sponsorship was $500. I mean, that was it. And he was going to come up, and I remember he came up, and all he had, he was like living in that van.
Yeah.
He was living in this van, and in that van he had all his surfboards. He had paddle boards, the sup boards, and then he had the surfboards, and he just wanted to be there, and he wasn't really there to sell. He was more there just to enjoy the vibe of wake surfing and start to get feedback.
Camera stop.
Which one?
2 and 3. Only the wine is on.
Just keep going. Looks like we had a camera technical camera go down, and it's been a little rain, but hopefully that'll be the last one. If not, we'll have to think on our feet. But anyway, Jeff had just came to do that. Didn't really come to sell, but he did sell boards. He sold several that first time because people tried them while they were on the lake. But Jeff, we all fell in love with him immediately. He was just this big teddy bear of a guy, and he was the sweetest guy. And you know, that was, and he'll tell you, that was the day that when he came to that event, that's when Soulcraft started there and at that event. And we were friends. We're still friends, although I haven't talked to Jeff in quite some time. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history there, and definitely Soulcraft has always been close to us because of that. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you know, Jeff was considered kind of like the Jedi master of custom boards there for a while. But yeah, so I think what was also so good about the custom board line was it really fit what Angie and I did and still do with our Wake Surf School, Wakesurf AZ. So when people would come and learn from us and get lessons from us, you know, we were able to put them on these custom boards, and that made such a big difference in, you know, how they felt, how they rode. So then we could direct them towards Jeff to get their own custom board made, right? So I think that's, you know, that's the progress of people getting onto these custom boards that are fit for you. And you can also fit them for you, but fit them for your wave too. If you need a board with just a little more buoyancy, or you can get to a smaller board because now your wave is bigger. So you can kind of play around a little bit with the size too.
Yeah, and you know, because when you know, I talk to people all the time that are getting a boat, and they just spent a buttload of money. It's a buttload of money. No matter how you look at it, and no matter where you are in life, most people consider it a buttload of money. And a lot of times people just barely convince their wives to be able to get this boat. And so then going to the wife and say, okay, now we need $4,000 in boards.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You know?
And that's why we tell people it's called a try before you buy. And that's why Angie and I came to the first polar bear. I think it was maybe the second year, the polar bear that you put on. We came to that because we were sick of paying all this money for boards that we've never tried, that you know, we buy them and we don't like them. So that's why we made it a point to go out there to the polar bear and then try some of the boards that the guys brought in to try, because it you know, you get sick of spending all this money, right? And so we tell people, if you can, come and ride one of our boards, right? Try it out, see if you like it before you put that money down. If you don't like it, hey, that's good. We want to make sure this experience is good for you too. So try before you buy, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And that was the reason why we started that polar bear event, was for that reason. Is it was very difficult to know what you were getting, and so it was like this trial and error process. And when a board is $700 to $1,000, now even more, it's difficult to do. And a lot of people, they buy a boat and so they get one board. Like they try to get one board that's good enough for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And you can do that, but it's not going to be good. It'll be good for maybe one person. And but then you start getting to the point where you realize, you know, my kids need a smaller one, I need a bigger one. And then when you start going to, you know, surf styles, the skim or surf, and then, you know, my son loves getting air, my daughter, you know, she loves doing bottom turns or whatever it is, you know, you can actually get a board that's made more just for your style of surfing and your size and weight and your wake, because a lot of people don't realize that.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that you know, like my son Thomas can ride a 4.4 or 4.6 easy. We have a giant wave, and if you don't have that giant wave, well, he might need a 4.8, you know, and maybe shaped a little different. And then some boats have different push. And if you're talking to somebody like Mike, who knows what he's doing, and there are other board manufacturers out there, custom board manufacturers, that also do a good job, you can tell them, okay, here's the boat, here's how I have it weighted, here's my size, and don't lie, you know, tell them about the full weight that you're packing, and they're going to set you up, and they're going to give you something good. So how did you end up going from doing that with Soulcraft and working with them there, and how did you end up with Violin Designs?
I think, you know, we've been with Jeff for probably about 10 years, and so then new owners came in and bought Soulcraft, and I think they kind of were wanting to go in a different direction. And so we decided to kind of depart from Soulcraft, and we actually got approached by somebody that said, hey, why don't you guys think about, you know, doing your own boards, designing your own boards, you know. And I thought about that, and I said, well, you know, I have the knowledge, a basic knowledge of what works on a wake surf board, but as far as actually being able to shape it and manufacture it, and, you know, that's something that we're going to have to look for. So we got introduced, well, actually I met Chris Mule with Parker Surfcraft at one of our polar bear type events, and he had one of his designs there that he was riding and letting people ride. So when we decided to do this, I reached out to him and I said, hey, are you interested in doing something like this? And he said, sure, he would. So we took one of his platforms and we tweaked it and made some of the changes that I wanted to do to his platform. He was very helpful with that. And he actually, he gets his boards cut and then he shapes him himself out of, he's got a little place that he shapes his boards and finishes his boards. So he sent us a couple and we tested a few different prototypes, and so he manufactured 2 of our boards. Then I had a chance to get to meet Rusty Priesendorfer with Rusty Surfboards, and you're probably familiar with him being from California.
I think I met him once or
Another
that was a long
kind
time
of larger than life guy,
Yeah,
just a nice guy, great personality. So we got introduced to him, and we were actually able to go out to San Diego and see his operation there. And I got to sit down with Rusty, which was a treat for me, and he's kind of like you. He's a real technical guy, right? And he's got all these computer screens and this 3D shaper program. And,
oh, wow.
we were able to sit there, and he designed another one of our models that actually Jesse has, I believe, and that's that model. And that one was a big hit right from the very first prototype that we rode on. Everybody loved it. Right?
Yeah, I know
So,
Jesse loves that board.
Yeah.
So does Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, so we started right away with them manufacturing that board. And then the next year I went back out and we designed another one. And then this year we're on our 3rd model with them too.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's
yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah. And what we wanted to do with Vibes was we wanted to provide something for people to have fun on, right? We wanted to increase people's fun level, right? And to do that is get them on a custom board that they can ride. And that's what our idea was, is design a board that everybody can ride. Anybody right from past the beginner stage, once they are able to drop the rope, a lot of people, most anybody can ride one of our models.
Yeah. That's pretty neat. Do you have some great success stories of people that kind of call you back and tell you how much they love the board?
Oh yeah, yes. And of course, social media has been really big, positive reinforcement for us. People just love the boards. We have been able to get some of our boards into Asia as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's good, and people are really loving them. A lot of people want made in the USA, hand shaped. There's a big need for that. People want that, especially when you're looking at progressing your level. If you want to progress to that next level, you have to get on a custom surfboard.
So, why don't you grab your? We have Jesse's board, which is oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Am I still on?
Yeah,
Here we
I
go.
think so, yeah.
Okay.
So, you can. Here's one of Mike's boards that he made, and this one was made for Jesse, and you can't feel it out there on camera, but I'm telling you, maybe you could tell just by the way he's moving around with just a couple of fingers.
I won't break it, Jesse. Don't
I
worry.
know. What is that like Is that? I know it's got to be at least half the weight of a comparable, compressed board from China.
Well, if you pick them up, it feels certainly like
it feels like it's a third.
Yeah.
It feels crazy light.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yet, we have had boards like this for a long time, and they easily last 2 seasons.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you definitely get 2 seasons out of them.
Yeah.
If you're riding them really hard, if you're at the competition level, I would suggest one every season, a new
Yeah.
one every season. Yeah.
Yeah, and you might think, well, that's a lot of money. You only pay for 2 years. Well, the thing is, you can get a board that that isn't a custom board, and maybe it'll last longer, but you most likely will progress out of it very quickly. So you're just not going to be having as much fun. I can't tell you how much fun it is to surf on a board that's made for you like that, and especially our kids. Yeah, they love it. So do you have anything new and exciting you want to talk about with your new any new designs or what you're looking at?
Yeah, actually, you know what's exciting to me about these boards, now we have 3 rusty boards, is that I love to ride every one of them. And every one of them has just a little different ride feel. And like this one is kind of the sports car, or I call it the fighter jet. This is the one that's fast and responsive, very lightweight. And then the second one in the lineup, we call it the aviator, you know, and so you can fly on that board, you know. So it's probably my favorite. I feel like it's it's definitely more stable than this one. I feel like you could push it a little bit harder. And then the one that's coming out this year, it's called the XO. XO is short for Exocetus volantan, which is flying fish.
Oh, got it.
And so that's what the XO is about. And basically it's because we dovetailed, we dovetailed in the tail a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Made some sharp points out on the end. And we added the double concave to the bottom too. So
got it.
It's a fast board. It's got quick release, but we left the nose nice and good volume in the nose, so it does really good with revert riding, and that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah,
now,
Angie. Yeah, especially I know Angie was really.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's really cool, and you know. Yeah, you can notice there's a lot of aviator and flying themes going through there. Mike is a pilot, and you were an F-15 pilot, weren't you?
F-16, sir.
F-16.
Yeah, single tail.
Single tail F-16 pilot. Wow. So yeah, Mike's done it for real. Amy asked me the other day, wasn't he in Top Gun or something? And I go, no, I don't think he was in Top Gun, but flew an F-16. It's still pretty cool. So.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, that's I wanted to kind of keep the flying kind of idea into it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about our next topic. And by the way, you know, you can message me at Wake9. You can go to, is it violindesigns.com?
Vibeswakesurfing.com.
Vibeswakesurfing.com, and we'll put that in the description. But you know, go visit and see what there is to offer there.